This week on IFBB AMA Podcast. And then I look online, look at the pictures, and I'm like, that's not at all what I was seeing.
You know, good thing bodybuilding's judged in person, right?
Hadi and Derek don't kill you in size department.
I'll be the first one to say if I don't come with that conditioning, it could be a pretty rough weekend for me.
If I can be frank, when you play sport, your conditioning was not really there.
I trained back wrong for so long. I had really developed, upper traps. Focusing on really moving weights with my lower lats has made that big difference in my back, I feel like.
That whole segment needs to be repeated over and over again because how many people do not get that? On this episode of AMA Podcast with Chris and Milos, we had Hunter Labrada on. He's 2 weeks out from Mr. Olympia contest. This will be his third Mr. Olympia. We discussed a little bit about his prep, kind of his show history, how he's been in prep for almost 31 weeks. And of course, we went over some back training tips. And I think a lot of people could benefit from understanding exactly the approach of what true bodybuilding training is. And this episode does cover that. But all in all, it's great to catch up with Hunter, seeing how he's doing Mr. Olympia contest. But check out this episode. All right, Hunter, what's going on, man? I'm so happy and honored that you're able to come on 2 weeks out. I know it's a lot to ask. I've never been in prep, and you've been in prep for a very long time now, considering all the shows you've done this year. What are you now? What has it been, 7 months of prep or more?
Yeah, so when we hit the stage at the Olympia that Saturday, we'll be 30 weeks on the nose. So this has been it's really funny to me just because, I feel like people don't really consider me new to the sport anymore, like in any way, shape, or form. But like last year's Olympia was my 11th show ever, including my amateur shows. And, I had never done more than 2 shows in a year. And it had always been, like a 16-week prep, have a nice big gap, and then, get ready for the second show. So, I'm new to the sport in the sense that this is the first time I've had like a real extended prep like this. So, it's been a learning experience for sure.
Improvements you made from last year's Olympia to Tampa and Texas is mind-boggling. I just checked your Instagram recently about September 15th. So what was it? A month ago, you were 13 hours away from the stage. That's what it looks like. I mean, and I appreciate that. I appreciate when somebody is constantly in the contest shape. And a lot of people say, no, you're going to bring yourself out.
Done that, huh, Milos?
Yes, but I like it that way. I mean, for me, just idea of, oh, no, I have to burn fat. Why would I get fat to begin with? So I just didn't allow it, so it was easy. But the thing that I'm seeing is I'm super impressed. And your condition, you see, some people have ability to be crazy conditioned, and you're one of them. And some people, even if they are lean, they're never going to appear that strided and thin skin and tie-ins. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure. And I'll be completely brutally, bluntly honest because that's what I am about myself. This was the first time that I've even come close to being, truly dug out stage lean, and it, completely changed the way my physique looked. So it was really motivating to see, like to have that work pay off and to see, like to reach that next level of conditioning, and not only, it be that next level of conditioning, but it kind of be like that 1 + 1 = 3 kind of things with what it did for my physique and how it looked,
So I just want to say one thing real quick, which is pretty astounding in itself. You turned pro in 2018?
Yes, I won the overall at Nationals in 2018.
Yeah, 2018. 2018 to where we are now is not very long, and you've come a long way since 2018 till now. And I was at Texas Pro. I watched Texas Pro, and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, Chris was there, and he was telling me that first round of posing, he might have you ahead, and then second and third and fourth, you kind of started losing. I wasn't there, so I didn't see it, and I don't know your experience.
Dude, it's so funny to me, and I've joked with Chris about this at this point, and then like anyone that's like close to me, it's just like the biggest running joke ever. But the difference that my physique presents, like in pictures and video versus person, and you're like, Chris, you saw, like in person versus videos and pictures. It's funny to me the difference because it's like, I'll see pictures and videos of myself, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, here we go." That's not what I looked like, but that's what anyone who wasn't there thinks I looked like. So it's funny to me.
And for me, I don't attend a lot of pro shows. I haven't. I've only been Arnold, Olympia, New York Pro, but I attended that show because obviously Jordan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see any pictures. I didn't look at any pictures. I was there the entire day. I was just seeing everything live in person, right? So it's like I had you winning, and prejudging like right away. I'm like, oh my god, he looks insane, he looks nuts. And then I remember at the end of the show, all the results play out, and then I look online and look at the pictures, and I'm like, that's not at all what I was seeing. Like it wasn't.
And you know what? At this point, it's never not been like that for me in terms of like not presenting and the look translating in pictures and videos and stuff. So, this is the second that I get off stage and see the picture, I'm like, okay, well, there we go. Anyone that wasn't there thinks it's going to be, just a landslide. But, good thing bodybuilding's judged in person, right?
Yeah. It wasn't a landslide because they made you pose back and forth for like 35 minutes.
Yeah, they ran us pretty good for sure.
But I was always for it. This is why audience come there. This is why you guys train. You want that challenge. I like the comparison. I mean, back in the 90s, when your dad was competing, we had 18 comparisons around and 20 in muscularity, back and forth, back and forth. We loved it. And listen, if I would be compared with the last guy, it doesn't matter if I'm better, I have to show it, right? So I had no problem. But there was a period of time when there was very few comparisons. And that bothered me because if you train the whole year and now you're there and you don't really get the chance. So I think that Olympia, they're going to mix you guys first and second call out, repeatedly.
And, it's something that I honestly have mixed opinions about because, on one hand, you come out, you present your physique, that's the physique you presented. It should be able to last a couple rounds of posing, absolutely. But at what point does it, almost become like an anaerobic, like a cardio contest almost too? So I feel like there's a happy medium that has to be respected between the two.
Like what, 2 comparisons, 3 comparisons, max?
I think, like threes, you got your look. Anything past 3, you're just trying to see who's going to fade. And I don't know if that's specifically bodybuilding or not,
I said, Milos, I've never been to a bodybuilding show ever, or even seen online having somebody could be compared as long as Hunter did. Like I'd never seen it before. It was like frontal bicep, rear bicep, frontal bicep, rear bicep. It's like for 10 freaking minutes. And in my opinion, right,
that's funny. That was funny to me because it was a 2-man call out. So after they ran us into the dirt, they were like, okay, switch sides.
Yeah. So I know what Hunter's saying. It's kind of like you have somebody come out, you look at them, or you compare them, you change it back and forth, maybe pose for 5 minutes.
And I don't want this to be like take this and people run with it and be, oh well, Hunter doesn't think you should be able to pose more than 2 rounds. I absolutely think you should be conditioned to be able to pose, and you should be carved up and peaked in a way to where your look can last 2 or 3 rounds without you fading. But, whenever you get into that 4th round or, they send you off and then pull you back up for another 4 or 5, like at what point does it become almost like another facet of competition that always hasn't been present?
Right. It's kind of like training a muscle in the gym. It gets so pumped, eventually you start to lose lines.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, sometimes it's close enough. That's what it takes. So
it was a lot.
I'm going to get up there. I'm going to take my licks and I'm going to do what I need to do.
Right. I thought it was a lot. And Hunter, that's the first thing I said to, what's his face sitting right next to me? One of my Connor. And I'm like, dude, at what point why can't we figure out who decides here instead of waiting for somebody to make an error? You know what I mean? I mean, that's just me. I said that then before you said it. I thought it was like a little overkill versus giving other people more comparisons too. Like you said, Milos, back in the day, you didn't get a lot of comparisons, but what about comparing other people, other scenarios, not just 2 people back and forth?
Yeah.
Speaking of Texas, the Texas show specifically, just because, both you and I have skin in the game with them, I would have loved to see 3 through 6 ran a little harder. With Jordan and Lewis and Carlos and all those guys. Because I think that through the 3 to 6 at Texas was super competitive too. So it's.
So going to this Olympia, what do you expect now? I mean, you've been there, done that. You climbed to the 4th place. You had a higher aspirations. Your dad was runner-up to great Lee Haney, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that you felt and you can almost taste it. And then last year, you slipped down. Of course, there was, and all the interviews that I've seen, it hit you hard, right? You didn't expect it. I mean, you still beat unbelievable guys, right? But that was not what you were expecting. And I'm sure that feedback was, had you been perfectly conditioned, it would be a different story. And I never ask you, so I'm going to ask you publicly here. The first and second guy, right? Hadi and Derek don't, kill you in size department, right?
Yeah.
So when you could you be competitive with them? That's just my thinking. I'm sure that you felt like you could be.
I feel like I have a unique opportunity at the Olympia if I handle my business and do what I need to do to present an extreme level of conditioning that the smaller guys have on a larger frame.
Yeah.
Because obviously Samson's absolutely beautiful and you're going to bring him in as tight as he can be, and Andrew too, but they've yet to present like gnarly conditioning. If I can come in, like Tampa or even sharper than Tampa, because obviously that's always the goal, is to come in your best ever at the Olympia. I feel like I have a unique opportunity to present, like my frame with my size with that level of conditioning. So I'll be the first one to say, if I don't come with that conditioning, that it could be a pretty rough weekend for me. So, I know that headed into it, and that's what we're working at right now.
Yeah. I mean, if I can be frank, when you play sport, your conditioning was not even, really there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But your shape, aesthetic, size, the balance, completeness got you there. So I could imagine that, say, if I just nailed the conditioning, I could be fighting for a title. And here comes Hadi Choopan. By the way, he's not Hadi Choopan, he's Hadi Choopan. And it's my goal now to tell everybody, correct yourself. Seriously, Hani Rambo confirmed. And, for me, for many years, I let them call me whatever. I should have corrected them right away, but I didn't. So now it's still early for Hadi.
Right. People were saying your name wrong?
Yeah. Milos. I mean, I'm not Milos. I'm Milos.
Ah.
Okay.
So, doesn't matter. But Hunter, this is about you. I mean, the way I look at it, yes, you can in a direct comparison with Hadi and Derek, hold your own and possibly even beat them. With what you just said, crazy conditioning, structure. You have that extreme V-taper, X-frame, thickness, roundness, crazy arms. It could happen. With the bigger guys, again, you were there right next to Andrew Jack, and he could have flipped the coin. And it's going to be the same with Samson. Obviously.
I'm excited to see Samson, man. As a fan of bodybuilding, I'm excited to see Samson.
Yeah, we are playing to his strengths.
He's an awesome human, better human than bodybuilder, and that's saying something at this point.
Yeah. And that coming from you, that's wonderful. Your dad used to fight with Lee Haney year after year about it, right? And I could see that Lee, both are Lee Labrada, right, beat Lee Haney in the conditioning department, obviously. But Lee was just way overwhelming, with this height and weight and, V-taper. I could see that. The question that I asked Dave Palumbo the other day, Hadi Choopan, you see him in many shows. Wouldn't his last Olympia be his worst condition?
So I'm going to be completely honest with you and say that I am not an expert in Hadi's showings whatsoever. But I do know for a fact that last Olympia was not his best showing conditioning-wise, because that Vancouver show that he's like literally famous for, where he looked like he was missing his skin, obviously that's one time he's been in better shape. And then, obviously headed into the Olympia, people are always posting up comparisons, and I don't really pay attention to many pictures. But, seeing the years back to back to back to back, there might have been one year that was better. So I don't think last year was his best ever.
Yeah. My point was, when he was better conditioned, both Olympias before, in Vancouver, in San Marino, I watched his pro debut in Dubai, first year. I mean, conditioning was off the chart, but now he's bigger and he won. So Brandon Curry beat him every time before, and he was out conditioned. So, the way I'm looking at it, how did Lee Haney beat Lee Labrada back in the day? It's still that combination of, size and then balance and then aesthetics and then everything. So size mattered. And for Hadi Choopan, he came bigger. And, so he sacrificed the size a little bit, the conditioning a little bit, and that translated. And I'm not saying anything, for you, of course. I think that you should come ripped to pieces, dry to the bone. I think that would be your ticket to get attention and then go as high as, sky is the limit. I was saying a couple of years ago, I saw you winning. I don't know if you've seen some of my interviews. I always speak my mind. It's, Ken Hunter, and that was before you placed fourth, that year. So that was 2 years ago, right? Yeah. Say, look at the Lee Labrada's genetics with the 60 pounds or more muscle, the wider, thicker. Why wouldn't be? That was at the time when Big Ramy was dominating.
Mm-hmm.
Size ruled. But I saw Hadi Choopan being close to Ramy. Really, when you analyze it, it's not like Ramy was beating him clearly, especially that 2021. And I was thinking in 2021, your Tampa version, for me, I've just seen pictures. For me, it looked like you were better in Tampa than in Texas. I don't know. You already said in the beginning, don't judge me by the pictures, but I can't go by anything else. Do you think that you were better in Tampa?
I think they were different looks.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Like different looks coupled with different lighting for the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa's lighting was pretty awesome. Texas's wasn't bad, but I think I was a touch drier at Tampa and then a touch fuller at Texas, so it's kind of, what look do you like? It's an apples and oranges thing, I guess.
What did you weigh in Tampa and what did you weigh in Texas?
We were, I want to say 2 pounds heavier at Texas. Yeah, we were 248 at Tampa and then 250 on the nose, mornings of.
That shape, let's be honest, the out of the lineup, as far as consistency of body structure, I feel like you're the most similar to Derek in the size of the V taper, the waist, the rearable bicep.
Derek's back's on a whole different level from anyone's right now. I feel like his back's nuts.
Your back double biceps in Ben Pakulski's gym, MI40.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Can you freeze this? Yeah.
I wish I knew how to freeze it, Milos, but you're talking to technology, the anti-technology guy. Hunter, I learned how to share just like a month ago.
Proud of you, dude.
I was looking at here we go. Nationals. I was at Nationals actually. Coincidentally, I was at Nationals. I wasn't at Tampa, but I was at Texas. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I think is funny about when people say this, and I mean, Milos, you might have a different perspective on it, but when people go, oh, it's why don't this guy just nail the same condition each time? It's not that easy. Because let's be honest, I'm the most consistent bodybuilder probably ever condition-wise was Dexter, and Dexter wasn't his best every single time he was on stage. It's not that easy.
There's just so many different factors that go into it. Even, like right now, like I said, I've never prepped this long before. So, it's kind of learning on the fly for us right now, seeing what my body does and doesn't want to do, it's different even than the Tampa and Texas preps. And that was, 10 weeks ago. So yeah, it's funny. If obviously both of y'all know, no prep's ever the same. But, it's like people who are not educated. They're like, well, why don't you just look like you did theirs? Yep, if I could press a button, I would.
I know, it's easy as making the Sprite can go from this side of the screen to this side.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Yeah, but this back double biceps is state of the art. I appreciate Derek's. Derek has somehow, I don't know how, that freaky V taper that his lats really pop out and the result is detail. You got to give it to him. But his arms and shoulders are not as impressive as yours. This
That
is
side tricep shot, Hunter.
no, but in the back double biceps pose, I mean, it's still that.
There's a lot of detail that comes through my arms in the back double for sure.
It's way more
not
detailed.
present than a lot of other people's.
I don't know. In this last video, I was going to freeze it a little bit. It looked to me, I'm just going to give my observation. You kept your feet a little bit angled, but not enough to create more X-frame, to have a more lateralis sweep on. If you go back on this video that you just watched, that would be one of the things that I know, because you want to X-frame, right?
Yeah, show the quads a little more, turn the feet out.
A little bit more out, yeah. Bring more lateralis into the picture if you look at that video. That, I'm a pain in the ass. I always look like, can you improve in something? And this is one thing, because your quads are crazy. You had the other day that quad shot with your two other guys, and your quadriceps are ridiculous. I don't like riding the horse kind of thing, right? The thing that you make it obvious why do you position, but this just like feet 45 degrees. Is going to bring more the lateralis, right?
Show more of the quad from behind.
You're talking about in the rear double bicep, Milos?
Yeah, in rear double biceps. Look at that, just that video that you just watched. I mean, okay, if you have
I wasn't sharing it. I was like watching it myself, like a total ass.
Okay, yeah, doesn't matter. I've seen it.
I like the foot positioning here.
Yeah.
30 weeks. People have no idea. So you're saying in the rear double bicep, turn the knees out more?
Yeah, this is my observation. First, you see, now the quads are in, okay? And he put little, because squeezing the glutes, but now, if you push the knees out a little bit more, and foot is maybe
like the front leg for sure.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Now, here's a question that I know it's a corny question, but I always like to ask it. What is your favorite back exercises? As in the movements that you gain the best connection, or the movements that you feel have done the most benefit to your back development? Because everybody's a little different.
So the ones that have made the biggest difference for me, and this is coming from, doing my bent over barbell rows once a week for 5 years straight, like every good bodybuilder's told they should, and having a shit back to show for it still. The machines and the movements that have made the biggest difference for me definitely is, really being able to focus in and drill down on, focusing on lower lat contraction with like that plate loaded Nautilus. Or if you don't have a plate loaded Nautilus, just really, using a cable, but, focusing on different parts of the back instead of just moving weights from point A to point B, moving it with the muscle I'm trying to move it with. So, that style of, like lower lat pull down, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, just any, really good fitting lower lat row, done with the same regards, like unilaterally, really paying attention to keeping the elbow close and focusing on, what I'm actually trying to train. The ones I've spent the most time on in the last couple of years have been like the Rogers 3-way, the Prime seated row, not the extreme one, the seated one, and then the Magnum row, like the old Magnum dinosaur. So I connect well with those, but they're all relatively the same movement patterns, just a row that lets you keep your scap down and back and keep your elbow close to your body. So, because I had no lower lats, I trained back wrong for so long. I had really developed, upper traps and, Terry's and rhomboids and everything, and a lot of good detail through it, but just like absolutely nothing going on from like my thoracic spine down. So, focusing on, really moving weights with my lower lats has made that big difference in my back, I feel like.
That whole segment needs to be repeated over and over again, because how many people do not get that? They don't get it. I see people rowing 180-pound dumbbells in the gym, just moving weight, and they're like 190 pounds. It's like, What are you doing?
Well, and the
Like,
thing that's most upsetting is the response to it when you ask them why. Most of the time is, well, Dorian or Ronnie did it. And it's like for every one Dorian or Ronnie that had the world class back from doing bent over barbell rows, there's 20,000 broken ass bodybuilders with torn biceps and terrible backs. So
yeah, that's just it.
people have a really big issue in the bodybuilding world with causation versus correlation. They don't understand the difference, I feel like.
I've never used this row before.
Yeah, so obviously I don't use it like that, but
Single.
You do everything unilaterally, right?
I do a lot of stuff unilaterally. So typically with my back sessions, the way I like to structure them is a unilateral lower lat row, then a unilateral lower lat pull down, and then an upper back row, and then an upper back pull down, and then some kind of like straight arm pull down or, finisher just aim to drive blood and stretch.
So how many sets total?
Typically 8 to 10 total.
Total, yeah.
Really hard working sets, yeah.
I read somewhere that you stick with the basics and you just keep repeating pretty much the same thing and just maybe increase the load and connection. I just watched Hadi and Derek do the chest. It's out like a couple of days ago, and I think they did like 8 different exercises, 4 sets each.
Hadi probably trains like that, but Derek doesn't train like that. No way.
Well, that's what they did. It's out. It was just very interesting.
I will say that quite a few of us, our training styles change quite a bit as we get closer to shows in one way or another for one reason or another. Like for me, I'm a big progressive overload guy, but my logbook's been up for like the last 18 weeks now because I can't walk in the gym and try and beat my numbers whenever I'm borderline stage lean. So, it's been a forced exercise and, training a little bit more instinctually and walking in the gym and doing what I feel like doing that day while still checking the boxes,
Yeah. Yeah. I love Hunter. I always like asking these types of questions and almost knowing the response you're going to give because of where you are in the sport is because, with my clients and just the general perception of what bodybuilding training is so far wrong to what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I always ask these questions and people come back with very similar responses as in, are we just moving weight here or are we creating tension to the areas we need to? And weight is relative to how you're moving it to get that muscle, train it hard, hit it directly, move on, pump blood into it, etc. And it's like beating a dead horse sometimes to people. Like you said, why are you doing that? Oh, because Ronnie did it. Are you sure Ronnie did it like that? Because why is Ronnie 150 pounds heavier than you are and you're doing similar weight? You know what I mean?
I mean, let's be honest with you though. Ronnie could have done his back workout on a hoist row machine at Planet Fitness and just stacked it out and done 4 or 5 sets of 20 with it over the course of his career, and his back probably would have been pretty fucking nuts still.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, for every one Ronnie, there's 20,000 people who are just broken and don't have a back to show for it. And it's sad that they're not willing to go to the drawing board and at least see if there's something that works better for them.
Are you going to failure, or at least
right now? I'm going to my failure rep, so I'm going like to that hard grinder rep. Nothing past it though. In the off season, I'm definitely going like 2 failure plus a forced rep or 2, or like an intensifier, like a drop set or a rest pause.
Yeah.
But like being this deep in the prep, one of the biggest focuses we've had has been, like my fatigue management, because obviously, I'm not growing right now. Training's a exercise in tissue preservation and energy expenditure, so it is what it is at this point. So
fatigue management is so important.
Yeah. And the biggest thing that everybody knows, you went from a liquid into the solid proteins, right?
Yeah, eliminated a lot of whey. I was doing, obviously 3 shakes a day and blending cereal with the whey protein. So that's completely out, and it's been nothing but meat and rice for the last 7 months.
Has it been harder to do that?
Yeah.
No. It's one of those things, it got so sensationalized, but like the drinking of the food was a byproduct of, that extended off season whenever I was qualified, because, we were pushing, upwards of 6,000 calories a day for, like 7 months straight. It just got to the point where, I just like didn't even want to look at food. So I was like, I'm just going to drink it, whatever. So, that was a byproduct of that, being in prep, being hungry, even, this last off season, after the Olympia, when I knew I needed to change things, we slowly, worked my food up, worked my appetite up, corrected a lot of the gut issues that I was having. And, I'm hungry. I like my food. So
At this
Especially
point right
31
now,
weeks of dieting.
yeah.
dude.
But how low did you go with the carbs? I'm curious. Because you were so lean, so you didn't need to drop.
Yeah. So we're pretty, before Tampa and Texas, and then right now we've gotten down to like 150-ish a day,
Mhm.
for 2, 3, 4 days at a time, and then we'll feed up a little bit. So
And when you feed up, I'm just curious because I
no, yeah,
touched
no, for sure. It's honestly nothing crazy. So, it's I'd
405 minutes.
say, 25 to 30% over baseline. If I have to put a percentage on it, but still just clean foods. It's not like, diet hard for 3 days and then we're like ramming me full of burgers and shit processed foods and stuff. It's just, a little more of what I've been eating.
Okay, and how about that? Do you ever have the cheat meal, or do you have planned?
We were doing a burger on leg day until 5 weeks out from Texas and Tampa, and we pulled them then. And then ever since then, we haven't really done anything. I took my wife on a date 2 nights ago for steak and potato. That was really cool. But outside of that, no, we haven't really done much off-plan stuff.
What kind of steak did you get?
8-ounce fillet.
8-ounce filet.
Yeah, I'm a fillet guy. I don't eat anything but fillets.
I love New York strip. You know what's funny, Hunter? I was never a New York strip guy ever until I came to Texas and I had New York strip.
If
at
I get a
steak
strip,
restaurant.
all I'm doing is cutting the strip of fat off it and eating it like a
But
fillet.
you ever seen like a lean cut of New York strip where
Yeah,
like
no, for sure. Strip used to be my steak. I used to get strips.
oh,
How about the wild game? I mean, you guys are in Texas. Branch Warren
too
has all
fatty for
kinds
me.
of. What?
Those meats are too fatty for me.
So as far as wild game goes, I really like, back straps, like the fillet of the elk or the fillet of the deer. That's
Mhm.
really lean and it's not very gamey, and you can make it taste really good. Outside of that, it's more of an off-season thing. There's a lot of good deer processors around here that'll do really good, like jalapeno sausage and cheese and
Yeah.
sausages and stuff. So not diet friendly, but I love it in the off-season whenever it can be a little looser.
Milos, did you say Wyuga beef or did you say wild?
No, wild game, like
Yeah,
wild game.
venison, deer.
Hunter, since I've been to Texas,
I-
where have this, Milos? Since I've been to Texas, I had rabbit and rattlesnake sausage. I was very judging it, but when I had it, I was like, "Holy shit, this is really
Rabbit's
good."
good, man. Yeah, rabbit's good.
And then I was at the range at a tactical shooting class,
Yeah, no,
and the guy brought us fresh venison sausage that he made.
yeah,
And like, I'm not a big sausage guy, but holy smokes, that was good.
for sure.
I love it. I love it. I love the availability of food at Central Market here in Texas. Like the meats, they always have bison, different cuts of bison, which doesn't exist in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Love it.
Greatest country in the world, Texas.
Absolutely.
So let's just go back to Olympia because I kind of got the answer. but-
Back to the bodybuilding shit. Okay.
Yeah, because I want to know. So your aspirations are you want to definitely go back into that top 5 mix and mix it up with a champ and a runner up and a Nick Walker and Samson.
Absolutely. Headed into any show, you always have like a placings goal in mind, and obviously, making it back in the top 5 would be my placings goal if I had to throw one out there. But more so than anything, I just want to, put my all-time best on the Olympia stage. Because I've never done that. My all-time best has been at other shows than the Olympia. So really want to, just finish out strong, make myself proud, and put my best look on the Olympia stage at the end of this 30-week prep, and then, ride off into the sunset and enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas with the family and make plans for next year.
There you go.
Do you think there's a level of pressure? Probably this year, probably better at it, or if you ever had it, pressure at the Olympia that's not at the other shows?
I think, speaking in general, every athlete competing in that show feels more pressure competing that weekend than any other weekend. It's the Olympia,
Yeah.
it's the Super Bowl of what we do. Regardless of what level you're at, it's a big deal to be there. It's never, like a taken for granted thing to be competing at that show. For me personally, this year, I feel like it's kind of a make or break year for me, honestly. Yeah. So, after sliding from that 4th to 7th, this is the year I come back after taking that slide. So, it's one of those make or break years, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
definitely headed into it with my head down and the blinders on.
Good. That's good. That's a good answer.
It's going to happen. But keep in mind, Hunter was winning every show he ever entered until he went to first Olympia. He placed 8th, right? In the first Olympia and then 4th. So other than those shows, you were winning everything. Now the first show, other than the Olympia that you didn't win, was Texas, which yeah. So Chris, when you ask, is this any additional pressure? I mean, yeah. I mean, you're going against the best in the world, and slightest little off can slip you from 1st to 7th place, right? And this is really what happened. It's not like you didn't look good. Right? You were just not as expected, right? And you sometimes you might be penalized just because they were expecting more.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Well, listen, it's the best time to shine. I think that this year's Olympia is going to be the super strong. It's maybe not 30 guys like last year, but top 7, 8 guys can actually every single one.
It's gonna be a dogfight. If you're a fan of bodybuilding, this year's Olympia is exciting to you for sure.
Yes. Do you see 7 guys legitimately having a chance to win?
Yeah, I'd say 6 or 7 for sure. Yeah.
That's how I see it too. And then everything depends. So, Chris, you bring your best, and Hunter is saying he wants to bring his absolute best. Absolute best of Hunter Labrada would be beyond competitive at the highest level. So, yeah, I hope you deliver. I'm sure that you're going to grind as hard as you can last 2 weeks. I hope, of course, I see Robin and Lee over there.
They'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
the first year you competed at Olympia, was it in Vegas or Florida?
Florida. Yeah,
it was in Florida the first time.
Yeah.
Yep. It was that 2020 year.
Yep. Now, what did you like better, competing in Florida or Vegas?
Oh, dude, I'm a big anywhere but Vegas person. I don't like Vegas.
Anywhere but Vegas.
Anywhere but Vegas, man. Orlando's fun just because it's so set up to receive people and handle large conventions, but it's not like just constantly slammed with everything like Vegas is. So I appreciate how accessible everything is, and then just not having the sensory overload of any time you have to go anywhere, it being like Vegas or the Strip's big for me, just because I get very anxious the week of, and then finally it's cool because Sunday I get to wake up and take my daughter to Harry Potter World. So really looking forward to doing that.
Really cool.
Orlando's cool for us.
That's very cool. How did she do in her jiu-jitsu class the other night?
Oh, she loved it, man. It was actually her second one ever, so she's having a ton of fun with it. So she's gonna keep on doing it.
And as a dad, isn't it like almost comforting? You're like, yes, she's learning how to handle herself.
Oh, absolutely that. And then she just got done with her little first season of soccer, and she was like one of 2 girls on the team, but she was one of the better players on the team, and mixed it up, played forward, wasn't scared of the boys. So it's been fun to watch her play sports this year for sure.
Do you watch soccer?
No, not really.
Yeah, I'm a big soccer fan. I'm from Serbia, of course. But do you watch Jiu-Jitsu MMA? Are you going to watch?
Yeah, no, for sure. I know you're big into it.
Yeah. Are you going to watch tomorrow UFC?
Yeah, I want to, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Who do you have? Islam or Alex? Usman or Hamza?
I don't know. If I had to put money on someone, probably Hamza. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Hunter, funny is how much Milos loves soccer. How many times I'm like, Milos, podcast tomorrow at 3. I can't. Soccer's on. Got soccer. Can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I learned to love American football, of course, but and Americans can't, take soccer for whatever reason. Now they bring Messi, and maybe it's going to popularize the sport to the level it's going to be popular like in Europe. But American football is American football. If I had American football back in my country, I would probably play it.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch for sure.
You know what sport I find incredibly entertaining that's not very popular is hockey.
I was just about to say hockey. I played hockey from the time I was 5 until 12. I love hockey.
Dude, it's so violent and it's so fast. It's so entertaining.
Soccer and football had a baby. Soccer and American football had a baby.
It's like it's the only sport you can like legally fight.
Yeah, rugby's fun to watch too.
Yeah. And hockey's fast paced. It's not like it's slow. We're like
too fast, actually.
Baseball's too slow. I can't do baseball.
Yeah, I don't like watching baseball.
Yeah, for all you baseball fans out there, I can't do it. But listen, Hunter, I'm so happy you came on, man. I really appreciate it. You're honestly like, from the first time I met you, you're one of the coolest people in the industry. And like, not to rip on the industry, but there's not a whole lot of cool people in the industry. There's a handful of legitimately good people.
There's a lot of egos for sure.
Yeah.
There's egos and characters.
Yeah, Evan used to warn me a long time ago. Evan's like, dude, he goes, all these people, they're not your friends. And then you eventually get to meet like solid, good people in the industry. But you're definitely one of them, man. And it's been awesome knowing you. And I'm glad we're in the same state. And obviously, I'll take a trip down to Houston one of these days. We'll shoot some guns, put some night vision on.
Absolutely. After I get done with you, let's get Jordan and you down here. Y'all can stay with me and we'll train and shoot for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be living like 11 minutes from me.
Yeah, and I'll be up there a lot for gasp, obviously. So we'll crush some food and training sessions and stuff.
Perfect. What did you say? What are you drinking, Hunter?
Just water.
Water. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it is, do you guys drink like diet sodas and stuff?
Just Diet Sprite.
Yeah.
I love Diet Sprite.
I lost that bet. Chaz Polikin told me back in the day that this is going to elevate your glucose. I say, come on, there's no way, right? And I bet because there is no sugar there, so how can it possibly? And I lost. So that's cephalic, insulin release. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of people, they drink like throughout the day. No, it's going to affect you. So especially if you're on low carbs and you don't plan to have it, I wouldn't let them drink. They have those waters there that like sweetened with the whatever. I don't let them have it, even though back in the day when we went to European Grand Prix Tour.
This is over here punching air about more.
Anyway, okay, Hunter, thank you for coming on the show and good luck. I'll see you in Florida. I'll be there 1 week early. Hopefully I run into you in some gym.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll see each other that week for sure. We're bound to run into each other.
All right.
Awesome.
I'll spy on you. I want to see that big old biceps.
Definitely. Right. Looking forward to seeing you, brother.
Yeah,
Chris, always good seeing you, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching and supporting the channel. If you want us to continue to make great content, please hit the like button below and also subscribe. And did you also know we have an official website, IFBBAMA.org, where you can check out a lot of all these episodes with deleted scenes, especially ones we cannot show on YouTube or any other platform. Comment below if you have any questions or suggestions on how to make this show better. Please, we would love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for watching IFBB AMA Podcast. We will see you guys next time.